we are going to withdraw because we have achieved the first step. We have met you. And they willingly withdrew and try to...
After ransoming the president?
Well, they attempted ransom. I don't know whether they will achieve, because there were about 3 or 5, I don't know whether each of them will achieve what they wanted. I'm not so sure, but that was it. And in our NRM politics, actually, not just for Chigongo, even when I was running for this election, by the way, you get somebody who is not even known in a sub-county also picking nomination form. Now, when you reach the registrar, he knows Opono Pondo has been a spokesperson of government, probably has money, and then he comes and says, can you give me 500,000? Can you give me 300,000? So that behavior has come up in the NRM politics, and I think in other parties as well, probably. So
what happened was typically expected. The violence, the bribery, the mudslinging.
First of all, this is not the first time. You remember when Odrek Rwabogo picked nomination forms in 2016, I think, 2015. I think 2015, yes, to contest for Vice Chairman Western. You remember our uncle, Major General Matai Charigonza, made a lot of noise. And eventually the president, having other relations with Odrek, compelled Odrek to withdraw and leave it for Matai Charigonza. When Kiwanda came against Naduli also made noise. Apparently we have leaders in NRM who do not appreciate the tendencies, the principles of NRM. Because NRM, we say, whoever says they are NRM doing day, unless otherwise, we take them so. So for Right Honorable Kadaga to have raised the issue of Anita coming yesterday, what would you say about the late Jacob Bolanya? He also came and rose to Deputy Speaker, rose to Speaker, rose to Vice Chairman, Northern. What would you say about people who were shooting at NRM and NRA, even when NRM was in the government? Well, as soon as they abandoned the war path, they come into cabinet. What would you say about Honorable Mao, who in the last election ran against President Museveni? What would you say about a UPC member of parliament who is a minister in the government of Uganda, but she has not renounced her UPC-ship or UPC membership? So this has been the way NRM is harmonizing the politics of Uganda.
I want to shift to another guest, but what particularly stood out for you with a lot of concern?
What stood out for me was that over commercialization of politics, particularly by the candidates, incumbents, and candidates who are coming from the business side, and then there are those whose source you don't know. And I think our failure as a party, we let down our own party, we let down our membership, we let down the country. We have failed at the initial stages to stop, to crack the whip, even where there is evidence. So for me, that was the highlight. And then, of course, the visible extortion by the voters. In this election, in that number, you could see that voters put a price tag. Somebody says, in my district we have 7 voters. Each of my voters want 300,000. Now you see, but in number here, our rules do not allow us to distribute money. And you say, but if I give you this money, there are cameras here. Even if you had it and you are willing. So on both sides, we the candidates, or I can say we the leaders, and because the people who were in Namboli were all leaders. Because they were people who had been elected, the least position, they had come from a sub-county. The overwhelming majority were people who had been elected up to the district level. They were the ones asking for this extortion. And then we leaders were also promoting, I think, weakness in what do you stand for. And so we cut corners. You think that by giving money, by competing in how much, like those guys in entrepreneurship, where I went to Kapchorwa and I found a candidate who was seeking chairmanship of entrepreneurship national. They previously had gone there. For them, they were having 5 delegates in the district. He had given 1 million shillings. The day I arrived at 2. His competitor came in the morning. And when he was told his rival had given 1 million, he put 200,000 addition. So he gave 1.2. Even if this money was legit, because there are things we must spend on. You must spend on hiring a venue. You must spend on refreshment. You must spend on probably transport reimbursement. Now, if you look at young people, even women, old people, somebody comes to your meeting 40 kilometers away, is meeting you the first time. Surely, that kind of spending probably is legitimate.
Thank you. Honorable Akena, before I bring you on board, I need to tell our viewers, our audiences on social media, on TikTok and YouTube, that we are now shifting to Afro Mobile, so you can get there and continue watching the show. Honorable Akena, what are your big takeaways from the entire NRM electoral process?
I don't know where to start from. You see, when I take it in the context of... These are the people who claim to have gone to the bush because of an election being rigged. And what we have seen from the primaries, the levels of violence, the theft, the bribery, opened. Something which nobody can deny. The whole country has seen openly being displayed. It's only the president who says we shall investigate. I don't know. On other issues, his intelligence is so perfect, he will probably know what Simuju had for breakfast. But when it comes to this bribery within NRM, we are all blind. But you see, for me, what was missing, or what came out clearly, it both come out in one way or the other. What was missing was direction. You're watching these leaders who are supposed to be leading the country into the future, but I am not getting any vibe of any direction. It's just this internal wrangling, and at the end of the day, NRM has shed this whole notion of ideology, because you're hearing somebody talk about old ideology, new ideology, but it's not defined. What is it that NRM stands for? What is it that NRM is bringing to the people of Uganda today in 2025? It is not coming out. What comes out clearly, and knowing some of the actors and the players, is that they are declaring that they are going to ravage this country of ours without mercy. The resources, where are these resources coming from? The whole process, 72,000 villages. If you take a budget of maybe 100,000 shillings per village, that's 7.2 billion. Now they went through this whole process of register, village elections, parish, all through this thing. Where's the money come from? Those are questions. That this democracy which is supposedly created, we have failed to manage it. This is the 4th national conference of the NRM. 4th. According to their constitution, they are supposed to have at least 2 a term. So we should be in the 8th.
No, you are wrong. We have at least 1.
No, it says 2. I have read your constitution.
I have been the spokesperson.
You've been the spokesperson.
I have never amended that particular provision. Just take it from me.
I will get it in the course of the show when you want, but at least, but the point which I'm making here is, even in the national process,
For your information. Vibration, the king of new school, Taxi Vibes, will be live at Uma Showgrounds for the very first time in the first all-white concert. Vibrations presents Taxi Vibes, more all-white concert on the 29th of August, Uma Showgrounds. Come represent for the king of new school. Mujato chikubere Taxi Vibes, sechikumba chonamu whitey. Erangu kuingia jigena kubere mitware bili alibad. VIP is at 50,000 and a table for 3 million. Come let's shine. Ne Taxi Vibes mu white. Gina kuzomeza biru mwenda August ku Uma Showgrounds mukasawe mu all-white concert.